your source for everything paranormal. Para X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. For tread the circle thrice about, to keep unwelcome spirits out. Bide within the law you must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Mind the threefold laws you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. These 8 words the read fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will.
Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron on the Para X Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
And merry meet, everybody, and welcome. Tonight my guest is Megan Mary, and she is a dream interpreter and metaphysical author that specializes in the analysis of women's dreams. She's also an intuitive, introvert, and a mystic. And we're going to be talking about dream analysis and her latest book. And, well, it's a series of books, but one just came out. And we're going to have some fun a little bit. And if you're listening live to the show and you're in the Para X chat room, we welcome questions and comments. And if anyone has a dream that might need interpreted, we might have a little bit of time for a couple of them, so let us know in private chat. And if anyone would like to join in the chat room, come on over to paraxradionetwork.com. So we've got a lot to talk about. So Megan Mary, how are you? And welcome.
Hi, Marla. Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well.
Well, this is really it's going to be an interesting show all around. And I always like to hear backstories. So how did you get interested in dream work?
Yes, well, I think it really started when I was a child. I used to have amazing flying dreams and also recurring nightmares. And I wondered why they happened, where we went when we dreamed, and why nobody was talking about it, even though we were spending so much of our lives there. And so I was really just fascinated by it even then. And as I got older, when I was a teenager, I used to read the dream dictionaries and things like that, trying to figure out what they meant, but it never really resonated with me, everything that I found. So that led me to where I am today, sort of finding my own path with it. I really stopped listening to them for quite some time. And when I became very ill and started doing a lot of inner work, that is when I reopened the door to the dream world and started to receive a lot of guidance and messages in my dreams. And one of those messages was that I was supposed to go out there in the world and do this work.
Mm-hmm. So it found you. You think you found it, but I think it found you too. And it works that way. You believe that symbolic imagery in our dreams is a key, and once it's unlocked, we can tap into our own innate transformative power, and evolving with our consciousness and making us things that we could never think about before, but really needed to know, purposes. Now, I know a few people that are pretty sure about their purpose and the path that they were on, but I know that a lot of people don't know or don't even give it any thoughts. How important it is for us to find our paths and where we're supposed to be doing things.
Yes, unfortunately, our society does not have dream appreciation. So we're not taught at all in school or in the family or in culture the importance of our dreams, or even the validation of them. So we don't make time for them. We are embarrassed by them. We disregard them. And we really just start to ignore that guidance. And it's not just our subconscious. I also feel it's the way we can access our universal self and a lot of the knowledge that is cloaked from us in our waking life.
Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of things that people just don't even think about, and it's kind of sad because they're too busy with maybe stuff that isn't maybe not important enough,
Right.
It's really weird. And you just were talking about dream dictionaries, and I know people that have them, and they just want to. That's all they can do. They're looking for what somebody read. But what do you think about somebody that just only decides that dream dictionaries are what they need to know?
I think many times that's the first go-to for people because it's accessible, it's easy, there's an A to Z. But the problem with it, and the reason that I tell people to break up with their dream dictionary is because you're looking up one thing and then another thing and then another thing. And you're separating it out and you're not looking at the whole story. But even worse, you're looking at someone else's interpretation. And what makes me unique in dream analysis and dream interpretation is that I don't try to put a meaning on your dream. I help you to decode your own dream language so that you are drawing your own conclusions and your own meanings from your dream lexicon. And so when we look in the dictionary and we look up, owl, one thing, it says owl means this. No, it doesn't make sense to me. Well, what's your personal association with owl? And that's going to be different for everyone. So you and me and two other people might all have dreams about snakes, but somebody might have a pet snake. Somebody might have been bitten by a snake. And everyone's experience is going to be different for that object or that situation. And so that's why the uniqueness really lies with the dreamer.
Yeah, and open it up enough to understand what they're dreaming or seeing. And that's probably the first step. So what's the one thing that people really need to know about dreams?
I guess the most important thing is that you need to listen to them, that we need to start cultivating our own inner wisdom, and that dreams can be the doorway to that wisdom. Instead of looking outside of ourselves and looking to other people for answers, that the answers lie within and that our universal knowledge knows the answers. And we can tap into that. We just have to have the tools and the practice of doing that.
And I know you've had this question asked about 1 million times. Some people they swear that they never dream. How do you respond to that?
Yes, and when I first started doing this, I was really surprised because I dream every night. I remember all of them, it seems, and I was really surprised that some people said they don't. Now, there's a number of reasons. One is the most obvious. If you've had any kind of injury to the head and you've had any kind of brain trauma, that's going to totally affect the way that your brain is functioning, as well as if you're taking any kind of prescription medications, those types of things. But those aside, the other reason can be that you have subconsciously turned off your dream recall. So you didn't know you did it, but at some point you received a message you weren't ready to take and understand. And so you said, no, I'm not listening to that. And you shut it down and started ignoring it. And it went away, or at least it got quieter. And so you think that you don't. but you actually are. We all do about 5 to 7 per night. And it's really part of our biological makeup. But I also feel that it is where we return to the spiritual realm, because I believe we are spirits first and humans second. And I believe that the part of the reason that we have to sleep is because we have to dream, and because when we do, we return back to our spiritual self. Now, the other thing that I will say, because I work exclusively with women, is that our hormones do also play a large part in dream recall. And this I did not realize in the beginning either. So when our estrogen is high, our dream recall can be high. So just like how we are tied to the cycles of the moon, and we ebb and flow with those cycles, our dream recall can raise and decline based on the balance of our hormones.
Mm-hmm. In the chat room, they're asking, what if you virtually never remember your dreams? And somebody else said, yeah, she remembers some, but not usually. So, yeah, and for me, I mean, if I wake up and remember a dream, I'll be just a little bit of a thing about it. And then if I, go and make some coffee or something, it's gone. It doesn't follow me around.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
that's,
You'll forget. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just, galling, because, it's there and you want to think about it, and it's like, oh, look, a squirrel, and then you forget everything.
Yes. You'll forget 50% of your dream in the first 5 minutes.
Mm.
So when we transition through that brainwave state, so we're moving from the theta state into the beta state, that's where we can train ourselves to pull that information forward. But like any yoga, meditation, any other practice, it is a practice that you have to apply intention and dedication to really work that muscle of that dream recall. So it's not unlike accessing your clair senses, activating your extrasensory powers. All of those things are available to all of us, but there's many people who don't believe they are, and so they're not in touch with them. Mm. And if you open that door and you're open to that possibility, and you ask for that guidance, and you start to listen to those little whispers and the synchronicities, then you can open up that part of your life, that aspect, that ability to really be able to tap in further.
So practice makes perfect, huh?
Yes. Well, it makes you better.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Never perfect, because we are humans. Yes.
There we go. Yes. Another question from the chat room. She says, after dreaming and waking myself up, why does that dream continue again and after falling asleep? Mm-hmm. Like hitting the pause button on the TV.
Mm-hmm. So one of the actual techniques for lucid dreaming is wake back to bed. So it's actually waking yourself up on purpose, then re-entering that dream to attain lucidity. So it's actually something that some people strive to do. So it's nice that it's spontaneously happening for you. If you are finding that there are recurring scenarios, or that scenario starts back up again, or you have a recurring dream, many times that is because you are not receiving the message. So your subconscious is going to try to rearrange the puzzle pieces and change the story slightly, but there's going to be common threads. The more that you pay attention to what those common threads are, if you journal your dreams on a regular basis, the more you can start to see, okay, it was that dream again, but this time this. What's different? What's the same? And start to figure out what it is that dream is trying to tell you. Why are you back in that dream again?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Okay, so there are many types of dreams. We all know this. But let's talk about visitation dreams, because that validates what I was taught, that if you're speaking face to face and having a conversation with somebody that you know has passed, that's a real thing. It's not like subconscious dreaming. So talk about the visitation dreams.
Yes, there's definitely a difference, and for anyone who's experienced that, I have as well, you can tell the difference. It's almost like a lucid dream because you recognize that this person is not supposed to be in your physical space, and many times you acknowledge them and say, hey, what are you doing here? And they have a message to deliver. So it's very powerful and can be life-changing, really, but it has such a profound effect when we have those experiences. And for me, it just is a testimony to the fact that is the spiritual realm, and that is how we can see the spirits that are around us all the time, but interact with them in a way that we can receive that information. It's not that we can't receive that information when we're waking, right? But there's just so much distraction, and there's all the things, entrapments of our human life that prevent us from being able to sit and meditate for too long. So it's nice that we have that space when we're dreaming to really be able to interact with these other spirits, and particularly loved ones that have passed on and have things to tell us.
Mm-hmm. And what happens sometimes when you have a dream and you dream you do something, and then when you wake up you get a phone call and somebody says the exact thing that you were dreaming about? What kind of a dream would that be? Would it be up in the astral place anywhere, or just a little bit different?
Yeah, so dreams are outside of space and time, right? And so when we talk about is this a premonition? Are we being psychic? Are we having foretelling of something? We have to look at the theories of quantum physics that really tell us that our current reality is just an illusion, and that there is no past or future, that there is only present, and that everything is happening at once. And so that makes it possible that we can perceive something that perhaps has not unfolded yet, because it already has unfolded, essentially, perhaps in another timeline, another alternate parallel universe, another alternate reality. Mm-hmm. And so our knowledge of that is what we can access there. That's why it's so powerful.
Mm. So is it astral projection in some cases?
It can be, because that's certainly possible in the dream world. But it can also just be that broader esoteric knowledge that can be accessed when we tap into that universal mind. Mm-hmm. It's the universal mind we're all part of, and it's not just our knowledge, it's all knowledge.
Could we ask for a dream before we go to sleep and maybe it happens? Yeah?
You can. So that's called dream manifestation or dream incubation. And it's basically setting an intention like you would with a spell or a prayer or a mantra. And you can write this down in your dream journal, or you can just reflect on it before you go to bed. The situation that you want either an answer to, you want guidance with, a place you'd like to visit, whatever it might be. And if you focus on that, you spend time putting your energy and focus towards that before sleep on a regular basis, start cultivating that practice, you can incubate dream scenarios.
I know some people will think that everything a dream is not real, like we're talking about. Some people say it's only our subconscious, And, I'm just making it out, it's coming in my head. It's just, da, da, da. But yeah, it's not always subconscious, but some dreams are. So what are those, the ones that make no sense and they're silly and, you wake up laughing, when they happen?
Those are the ones that I really apply my method to because they are symbolic in nature and they are portraying information in a metaphorical way. Mm. So you don't want to just discard them because they have importance too. Mm. And they might seem nonsensical, or they might seem like a replay of your day, or, oh, I had this dream because I watched that movie last night, and it was just because I watched that movie. Well, you did a lot of things yesterday. You consumed a ton of content. You did a lot of things, but what showed up in your dream? Very mm-hmm. specific. And also, it wasn't just a replay of that. Something else was happening. And what was it? So looking at the people and the places and the actions, who was there? What did they do? What did you do? What was taking place? And then also emphasizing the emotional aspect. Because when we're sleeping, our parts of our brain are not active and other parts are fully active as if we were awake, in particular the limbic region, which controls the emotions. So we experience dreams as if they're really happening on the emotional level. And when we can pay attention to that emotional resonance, because emotions are energy in motion, then we can start to look at really the deeper meaning in the dream. Okay, so what emotion did this leave you with? Like you said, you might wake up laughing, or you might wake up crying. So what is that emotional reaction? And what does that tell us about the meaning?
Mm-hmm. And then there are the dreams that are helpful. And like one night I was dreaming, walking down someplace, and I really had to go to the bathroom. I had to pee. And every store that I went into had no toilets, or they were shut down, and all of a sudden I woke up and said, oh God, I've got to go, so, it helped me. If I had found in the dream that there was a working toilet, I might have pissed in my pants. I don't know, but it just wasn't there, and it was enough. And it was kind of interesting, actually.
Our physical body does affect our dreams. So if we have an injury, or we're in pain, or we're sick, or anything that we consume, if we've eaten too much too late, or we've taken any kind of other substances, all of that can affect our dreams because there's a biological component to them, like we were talking with the hormones. And so, and it's been proven in the sleep lab that they can actually induce some kinds of dreams by, putting a person's hand in an ice bowl or whatever, that you are still intertwined with your physical body. And so whatever might be happening with it can still influence the dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was lucky. I really, mm-hmm. It was like, okay. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know where I saw this. I was looking through all your stuff, and I scribbled something down, a note about your dream method, dream mirror. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So we're kind of talking about it now. We've kind of been talking about it a little bit, but basically it's a 4-step method. And the 4 steps are memory, mood, mirror, and metaphor. And so the first one is just memory. It's learning to remember your dreams, making a practice of keeping a dream journal, starting to learn the techniques to enhance your dream recall, and making it part of your daily life. The second step is mood, and that's what we were just talking about, being observant of the mood that you wake up in, but also the emotions that you take place during your dream. And if you want to go further, the emotions that you had when you went to sleep. So you can record those 3 different phases. Okay, I went to sleep really optimistic. I had this dream that was kind of scary, and then I woke up feeling unsure, right? Mm-hmm. So that progression, whatever it might be. The third step is mirror, and that's where I really serve as a mirror to your subconscious. I ask in session a whole series of questions once I receive your dream record, and we go over like I was saying, the people, the places, the symbols, the colors, the numbers, the weather, the emotions, the actions, all of the little parts of the dream, and then what all that means to you as a story. So that's where we get to the 4th stage, which is metaphor. And that's, how is this dream story specific to you and your life experience? And what is the story a message? Because our dreams don't tell us what we already know. We think they do, and that's why we ignore them. But if we can learn to decode what they're saying and flip it on its head almost, think about it in a less literal way, in a more symbolic and analytical way, then we can go, oh, I never thought about it that way. You know, that's what most people say after they have a dream session. They say, well, I would have never thought about it that way. I'm so glad that I brought this to you because now I understand what this is about.
Mm-hmm. We're going to take a break in about 4 minutes, but let's talk about nightmares. Are they, where do they come from? Why do they happen? And what do they tell us?
Yes, so nightmares are really the kind of pinnacle of the emotional experience in the dream world, right? They are the ones that are the most jarring, most upsetting, the most disturbing, whatever it might be, scary. And so all of those emotions are at play in nightmares. And they're using that emotional response to get you to notice. So just like recurring dreams, it's kind of a red flag. It's like, okay, pay attention. What is this? What is it trying to tell us? And those are sometimes the only dreams people really remember because they leave that resonance, that dream hangover where they say, oh, I never remember my dreams. This one I had last night, And so that's what you have to start paying attention to is, okay, what was that about? And use the method to pick it apart and then look at it from the 1,000-foot view as well.
Yeah, because some people think, well, it's because I had some sugar before I go to bed. Mm-hmm. And, I was watching a horror movie earlier and, right. And there's so many ways that people do have nightmares, but some of them, I think everybody, like I did one time, woke up screaming. I woke myself up screaming. I don't remember what it was about, but it's like, oh my God, this isn't good. But it was in a period of time when I was kind of down and there were things going around. And so, one thing leads to the other. And, it's kind of interesting. Whoops. Let me see if we have, okay, we have 2 minutes or something. Another question from the chat room. She says her husband has nightmares to the point that he's fighting something or someone and ends up falling out of bed, yet he doesn't remember the dream itself. Why is that?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes when we're awoken suddenly, particularly if we're jarred back into our physical body, we snap out of that dream state immediately because everything's got to kick in. The hormones start kicking in. You're in that fight or flight. You've hit the floor. Your body, you're back in your body too quick, right? Mm-hmm. So that's part of the reason. We can remember, on the other side of the coin, we can remember dreams a lot easier if we hang out in that middle space, we don't fall out of the bed, and we have a moment to wake up slowly, then we can go forward and backward. We can really kind of hang out in what I call the middle world and get what I call middle messages in between the sleeping and the waking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just so many different reasons. Like, people that come back from the war and they keep getting dreams about the bad things that they were seeing and stuff. I mean, it's just all over the place. All right, let's take a break, everybody, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes, so stay tuned.
There's more Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks right after these important messages.
If you're looking for a truly unique podcast experience, we have you covered. Spirit by You with CJ Dunham airs live from the Third Coast in Southeast Texas on Tuesday and Fridays at midnight Eastern Time, covering Creole folklore and folk magic to strange paranormal activity to new equipment for the field. CJ Dunham is a Catholic swamp witch, a devotee to our Mother Mary and the Trinity, a true believer in our Lord, the Holy Ghost, and Christ. Peace be with your spirit, and the spirits by you.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. Like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Missed an episode of Stirring the Cauldron? Then be sure to check out marlabrooks.com and check out the archive. And while you're there, check out Marla's weekly Witches Oracle card reading. Explore the site to find many great resources, such as information on tarot, oracle readings, metaphysical consultations, and links to all of Marla's books. That's marlabrooks.com. Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Back with Meg and Mary, and we do have a couple of chat room listeners who want analysis in their dreams. And so, you ready to do it, Megan?
Sure.
Okay. I got to get back there. She said her dream is sitting by a calm ocean in a long chair, warm, comfortable, nice sounds of water up in the sky, and there's a tall ship, the old kind like the pirates have in parts of the Caribbean. No one is on the ship. The ship is going through a huge hole in a big cloud in the sky, kind of like a portal, inch by inch over a year's time or more. Been having this a long time. Not scary, not every night. Then once, though, it comes back again and again.
Okay. I really like this dream. I like that you're in this peaceful place and feeling so at ease about it, but yet observing this really interesting thing. So the objects really are the lawn chair and the ship and the cloud, I guess. And so if you were to give this dream a name in one sentence, like if it was a story, a short story, what would you call it? Would be one of my first questions. And on top of that, then, is there any actions? Are you doing anything, or are you just observing it? And I really like the portal and also the slowness in time. So you're having this dream over time, And you're also seeing that the ship is moving through this portal very slowly over time. So I'm almost wondering if the ship is really your passage through this earthly realm. And if you are passing through these other portals, and that you're having a lot of guidance and comfort and support in doing that. It's not something that you necessarily have to effort at. And also just the being on I believe you said it was being at a beach, all of those settings, I would ask you to reflect on what they mean for you. So what does the launch represent to you? What is it used for? What is a ship used for? And also your association with the Pirates of the Caribbean. What does that movie remind you of? What does that represent?
It's kind of interesting because when I was reading it, I could get it in my mind's eye, and I was kind of relaxed, sitting on that lawn chair.
Yes.
It worked out really well. I know you're in the chat room, and you might have seen this, but about the nightmare that Rain had. He was drowning and woke up to discover his long hair was wrapped around his neck and choking himself. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that we have to look at the emotion. So what is the emotion when you wake up? Obviously, you're not going to be feeling calm and peaceful when you're choking. And so interesting that something of your own self, of your own expression, of your own physical body is causing that. So is there a situation that you are literally choking on? Is there something that you're preventing yourself from expressing, and something that you're basically stopping yourself from doing?
Yeah, I think there's another one coming in because I'm seeing typing all over the place, but it's not through yet. So you mentioned about a journal. Should everybody keep a dream journal?
Absolutely. And do it however works for you. So if you want to just record them in your phone and you don't even want to write it down, that's fine too. If you can keep a pad by your bed and write in it when you wake up, that's very helpful as well. I have a format that I like people to keep track of at least. I think it's interesting to observe the moon phases because that affects your dream recall, but you also just, give your dream a name, write down your mood, and then write down as much detail as you can remember. Part of the reason that I work with women is because they are higher dream recallers and they tend to keep a more elaborate dream record with the details. It's very interesting that this is where you don't want to skim over, right? You don't want to summarize if you don't have to, because the details really give us a lot of information.
I'm just reading one that came in, and it's really, really, really interesting. She says she's walking through Gigi Park. Cab Calloway pointed her to a gentleman's werewolf club. Everyone was so dapper, and then she woke up, and it was just very steampunk clothing, too.
Okay. So when someone famous appears in our dream, we need to ask ourselves, okay, you may not know this person personally, right? But what are 3 words you would use to describe that person? And not necessarily how they look, but in this case, this person I believe is known for how they look, but also just what is their personality? What are their proclivities? Are they optimistic person, pessimistic person, friendly, not friendly, that kind of thing. And when that person shows up in your dream, sometimes they're expressions of aspects of yourself. And so if you say, well, this person always reminds me of fun, or being really passionate about life, or being really colorful, whatever it might be, then that is an indication or an invitation to you to express that side of yourself. If, on the converse, that person shows up and they're always someone, right, that was unhappy, glass half empty, pessimistic kind of person, then your dream might be telling you, well, okay, are you being this way about something currently, the way that you portray this person to be?
I kind of like the Gentleman's Werewolf Club, actually.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. I mean, I would have to ask, what is a Gentleman's Werewolf Club? And because there's 3 different packed things in there, right? And also, what is a werewolf? And this is why it's difficult to do it one-sided, because it's a very question and answer technique that I use. And so really it would have to be, well, what is a werewolf to you? Because to me, a werewolf is a shifter. It's someone that is one thing, but has inside them another, and can be one or the other. And so when you're going to a club of them, that implies that there's even more other people that are having this same two-sidedness. And we all have 2 sides, right? Light and dark, but and then there's an invitation to that as well, because he's pointing towards it. So yeah, there's a lot of layers to just that little snippet.
I know, huh? All right, we got one more, and then we have a question, and then we're going to go talk about your books. She said, lately I've been dreaming of my sons when they were young. We would be running around the house playing and laughing. Now they're both married and have the families of their own.
Okay. So I guess let's look at the emotion of this one. This is a return to a time where there was a lot of joy and playfulness and happiness. And that is a reprieve. That is a visit of that time. Perhaps that is needed now, not necessarily in its exact replay sense, but your memory is bringing back a happy time, perhaps to help you through this current time. And what else is happening in the dream? There's probably other aspects, if we were to talk about it, that you would say, well, now that you're talking about it, it was actually this. We were, it was my son's, but we weren't in the house that we lived in, or I actually, had this on, or I was actually doing this. So, the short summaries are difficult because I know more to it, right? And so it's finding out what those are, and figuring out what your role is in that scenario.
Okay. All right, the last question. She wants to know, why do I continuously have nightmares where I find myself finding myself going through door upon door upon door and not getting where I need to go?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So maybe if you were to name this dream, right, it would be like the door to nowhere or something, or the the continually opening door, right? So doors, of course, what do they symbolize? They're how you get from one place to another. they can prevent you from going in. They can protect you from people coming in, but they are also how you get somewhere. And so if you're continually opening new doors, or are they opening for you? I guess that's an important difference. But if you're continually walking through new doors, you're showing that you're seeking, right? That you are really seeking in your life. But the fact that you feel like you're getting nowhere is the emotion. It's the frustration aspect. And we have to ask ourselves, what is it that you're seeking that you feel you haven't found yet? What is it that you would like to be on the other side of that door? And you can use the scenario in a dream manifestation to say, okay, yes, I'm really unsatisfied with this aspect of my life. And the next time this dream occurs, here's what I want to be behind that door. And even if you don't know what you want it to be, say that you want a solution to be behind the door, right? And focus on changing the scenario of that dream, either in a visualization or in your journal. And when you go to bed, have the intent of creating that scenario with the alternative ending.
That makes really good sense. All right, let's get to your books.
Yes.
The one that came out is the Dream Haunter series, and the book is Witches of Maple Hollow. That's the first
one. The reverse, yes.
Oh,
so the series is the series is Witches of Maple Hollow.
There we go.
And the first book is The Dream Haunters.
Mm-hmm. Go for it. Talk about it.
Yes. So this is really it's called a Metaphysical Mystery of Magick because it is a combination of a fantasy and a mystery. So Hannah Skye is the main character, and she is a young woman in search of meaning. And she receives a cryptic letter from her missing and eccentric Aunt Julia. Now, she's been having recurring, powerful pumpkin patch dreams. And they lead her on this spiritual journey to an island of eternal autumn called Maple Hollow, where she discovers the mystical Sky Manor and her magical family legacy. Now, this is where the mystery comes in because she is haunted by shapeshifters that are bent on trapping people in their nightmares. And she has to get the help of wise villagers as well as her talking cat dream guide to help her solve the riddle and unlock her powers before Halloween night when the veil between the worlds is thinnest. This is also taking place during Mercury retrograde, and it is set in 2007, one of the times in real life, rare times, that Mercury retrograde actually ends on Halloween. So it really is an inspirational as well as enchanting story that will teach you a lot of metaphysical concepts, but it also has a lot of mystery and intrigue.
Sounds good. It sounds very, very good. So did it come from experiences that you'd had and kind of put a bunch of stuff together, or did you just sit down and it'll write itself? And how did you work it?
Yeah, so 10 years ago, I had a dream, of course. And the dream was about a talking cat. And I was like, okay, this is like so real and so profound that I have to do something with this. So I started writing, and I hadn't ever really written short stories or anything like that. And I wrote a short story about it. It was about 10,000 words, and I stopped. And I didn't really finish it, shut it down, didn't do anything with it for about 9 years. And then I started having all of these different experiences, like I mentioned earlier, and really awakened aspects of my spiritual self that had been asleep for quite some time, and picked up a story again and started writing it. And when I started writing it, it really took on a life of its own, really changed directions. The talking cat was still there, but now there was a lot of other things happening in the story, and particularly the dream world. And there are 31 chapters, of course, because there's 31 days in October, but there's also 13 dream scenes, and it really undulates between Hannah's waking and sleeping life. And some of those dreams are my own, and some of them are fictional. And it was really just an amazing process to create this fantasy place where she is going through a lot of what I went through in my spiritual, you can call it awakening or remembering or whatever it is, calling. And so it introduces a lot of those concepts, but also lets people watch that through the lens of the fictional character.
Yeah, and who did the artwork? It's beautiful artwork.
So the cover art is done by Dragana Nikolic, and the interior graphics are done by a good friend of mine, Melissa Rankin.
I mean, I would buy that book if you didn't know what it was about, just to have the cover. It's really, really nice. Yeah.
Well, it's actually up for cover of the month right now on allauthor.com. I'm number 4. So please go vote for it. The winner will be announced on Halloween, so I'm hoping I win the cover of the month.
Yeah, it's really amazingly good. Let's talk about, in the last 5 minutes or so, want to talk about your website, because there is so much there. Tell everybody what they can find there to get started.
Yes, so you can go to meganmary.com, MEGANMARY, and there you will find, of course, my books and merchandise for the books. It's also available in audiobook, which is amazing, with Pearl Hewitt as narrator. But you will also find I have courses in dream decoding. I have my podcast called Women's Dream Enlightenment, where I have dreams, deep discussions, and stories of spiritual awakening with other women. And finally, I have my dream sessions. You can book a private one-to-one session with me where we go over your dream. And I also have programs where we work over the course of 3 months together, 90-day programs, where I actually go a deeper dive into the dream work with you. And I also provide customized meditations with sound frequency healing based on your dream stories.
And also there you have a thing called the free discovery call. You want to explain that?
Yes. Yes, so I have a free 30-minute discovery call for women that are interested in learning more. You might be starting out on your path, or you're further along and you're just curious about dream work. You're wondering how it works. I also do metaphysical mentoring sessions because I'm pursuing my PhD in metaphysical sciences, and those sessions can go beyond the dream work discussions into other realms of interest for you, the clair senses and synchronicities and spirit guides, and there's a whole list of things that we can discuss in the metaphysical mentoring sessions. So feel free to sign up at my website. If you sign up for my newsletter, you will receive a free Dream Mirror Journal template, which is just a one page that you can use as a template for recording your dreams. Eventually, I will also have, dream journals that have all of that in there. But you can also buy Dream Haunters dream journals, on the website, as well as merchandise for, your reading pleasure. There's candles and cozy blankets and pillows and all of that.
There are. I'm just looking at it and going, ka-chung, yeah, okay, dollar signs in front of my head, because they're really, really good. You also have a blog, yes?
Yes, a quite extensive blog that includes personal musings from me, all of my guest appearances. I've been on over 70 podcasts now in the last year or so, as well as my podcast episodes, as well as all of the news and reviews around my release. It did just come out earlier this month, and it hit bestseller on Amazon in the New Age Dreams category. And it also has received the first place winner in the International Firebird Award for the Dreams category.
That's nice. So if people want to hear your podcast, do they go to your website, or is there a special time and a special place that they can go?
You can listen to it on my website, but it's also everywhere podcasts are.
Okay.
It's every other Wednesday. So a new episode just dropped yesterday with Viviana, the Dragon Mystic. And so every other Wednesday, I release a new episode. You can listen to it everywhere there are podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Google.
All those platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I started looking at them and I'm going, this and this and this and this. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my thing goes about 12, and you've got me beat really well. So, yeah. But, yeah, so we're just about ready to go. I really want to thank you for bringing up all these good things. People are learning about their dreams and stuff. And maybe at some point, down the line, if you want to do a little course on the master class, you're very welcome to come do that, because that's always interesting. But, but thank you for joining us tonight. And the podcast will get up tomorrow all over the place, so that's good. And got to thank those people that are listening in, whether they're listening live or on the podcast. And next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Please join us again next week at the same time for another great guest and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2024. The Mysterioso March by Kevin MacLeod is licensed through Incompetech.com.